So. I see.
This is last year? I thought you just got.
Whenever the next time it comes up.
Yeah.
You look like this.
It's not right there.
Star, but it's coming.
Form special.
Tiff, just so you know, Star's not
Okay,
here
we're gonna
yet.
start.
Around a 6-year term, I don't.
Text you a time again.
That's the first 6 months of a 6-year term.
Okay.
20.
All right, everybody, 6 o'clock. Parks and Rec, Commission meeting, May 9th. We're gonna start with our audience of citizens. First on is Kristen Bryant, and she's on Zoom.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you just confirm 26 Grove Road, Conroe, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I'm requesting to use the Pistol Creek Clubhouse in September for bridal shower. We'll have about 40 guests, and we are requesting to serve alcohol, and we'll obtain insurance for that.
Okay, any questions for the commissioners? Okay, so Kristen, the process is, we'll discuss it once we get into our meeting. Jen can give you a call tomorrow. You know, probably no issue, but we have to wait until the commission votes on it. We have the paperwork and so you're welcome to stick around and listen to our meeting or to other audience citizens as well, so.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on for the few minutes. We appreciate it.
Okay. Next on is Valerie Zimmer.
Hello, how are you?
Valerie, can you just state your address, please?
My home address is 138 Blake Road in New Britain.
Say Blake, like Blake?
Correct.
Okay.
And I own and operate an ice cream truck, so I am requesting permission to sell ice cream, snacks, and beverages at Clark's Grove, the pool, and Sage Park when the concession stand is not in use.
Okay. Any questions?
So how's this gonna work, since we already approved another one?
Similar to in the streets of town, there's no rule on the ordinance that more than one vendor can have it access, so just know that there is another ice cream truck that currently has permission to sell at Sage Park and Percival Pool.
Yes,
But-
I am aware of that.
Yeah, so
So,
we've done more than one before.
yeah, just asking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Competition.
And she knows that it's when the concession stand is closed.
Correct, she said that.
Okay. Because even if they're open and not selling ice cream. Right?
Yep. When the concession stand is not in use.
Correct, I am aware of that as well.
Okay, and Jen, you have all the paperwork, you're all set for what you need?
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, Valerie, same thing, thank you very much for joining us, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, we'll address it during our meeting. And Jen can get back to you tomorrow if you're not able to stay, okay?
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Karen Hansworth.
So I'm Karen Hinkso, I live on 3 Watch Hill. I'm here tonight to discuss a written proposal, that was submitted by myself and several residents in town, including the young person who's behind me. We're seeking approval in order to create a video of a community center, so that people in town can see what the facility can offer. Our intentions are to be factual and informative. With the production of the video, it won't include praise, criticism, or input about what should be there, what shouldn't be there. It's merely just to say, hey, this is factual, this is what we currently have. Information we'd like to include in the video includes when the space was opened, the hours of operation, how the space is used, and the different services that it provides. We're in talks with Berlin High School, in order to have a student be able to help out with the project, so that it can be a high quality, free, resource for the town to post if they want it on their website. If not on your website, that's totally fine. Personally, I'd really like to put it on like Berlin Buzz, Berlin Talks, Berlin Mom Group, just so that people can be in their living room and have the convenience to click on the link and be able to see, you know, there's a weight room there, there are meeting spaces, be able to really kind of maximize things. And you know, a good example of what I'm seeing in town is Chris Edge. It's all in Berlin. If you go on Facebook and whatnot, or Instagram, you can totally see that he's really showcasing the businesses that we have in town, and it's making me think of, I'm sitting in my living room, wow, I'm gonna go and to the Memorial Day parade, or I'm gonna go to, you know, the new business that just opened, you know, it's the ribbon cutting. It really is creating some talk in town. And the hope with creating this video is to really create some dialogue with residents, because I don't think a lot of people really know what's in the community center. A lot of people are going and buying, you know, weights for their homes and whatnot, not realizing that they could just go down to Park and Rec, the community center, and go and check that out. So I really think it could help us to inform our residents, and then also with the continued dialogue about the community center. I think that it could provide people with a more informed perspective in terms of what are we really voting on, what do we currently have, what are we looking to perhaps improve, and again, the video is not to look at what we're gonna be improved, but it's like, again, to give people factual information so that we can have more discussion. Because the talk about the community center has been going on for like 30 years, and I think people moving to town, they have no idea what's even available, and I think also parents maybe could redirect the youth to say, have you and your friends checked out the ping pong table or the pool table or the weight room or whatever? So I just think for our youth too, it could really be advantageous, just let folks know what we have. So that was the proposal. I don't know if Dan has anything that he wants to add.
Yeah, just the idea to get it out to people about what spaces are available and other things that Parks and Rec is already doing to make that space really useful for the community, just to get information.
Dan, what's your address?
16 Tom Bank.
Was there any consideration about interviewing anybody? Or is it just gonna be video with no intervention with any of the town employees or things like that?
We're flexible with that. I was thinking, you know, if they want to keep it simple, we want to just have it say like opened in, you know, like the text essentially. So this way there isn't any need for dialogue. It really is just to show them the physical space. I mean, if people wanted to be interviewed, I think there's a give and take in terms of what the town is comfortable with.
The only reason I'm asking is because there is compliance rule about videos and people being on videos without their permission. So I believe that there's some kind of form or waiver that the person would have to sign and agree to put their face on any kind of video or picture. So I'm just sharing that with you if you didn't know about.
Yeah, so our written proposal, on there, it says, we would like to work with the director to determine the best time for the recording to take place and obtain written consent from anyone using the space that is to be recorded. So within there, and then just let us know the parameters, but again, like, we know there's a give and take with comfort level for folks. So if people wanted to be interviewed, that would be awesome. If not, just, you know, to contain the information of opened in 1975 or whatever it was.
And you have the compliance forms for that, for anybody?
We don't have compliance forms. I think you said you're gonna create one.
I could.
Yeah, and
So
we'll have it.
this has,
And then we would have it checked by our attorney.
assuming this gets approved from us, and there also has some senior centers, which will go to the Commission on Aging. It goes to the town council. And with the town council lawyer though, too, we want any document like that, a waiver to be flushed out by the.
I'm just making sure before
He
we,
might
Yeah,
even
no,
have
that
one
will be
here.
a requirement, it is a requirement for the town attorney.
I mean, another way to avoid that, if possible, would be doing it after hours. So before the community center is open, then you're ensuring that no one is there or after too. So there are some ways to do that.
yeah, well, it's even like, so say I was working out and you go in there and start, I have to sign that waiver. You're gonna put.
Correct, but if it opens at 9 AM, we can do it 8:30.
I'm not challenging, it. It's a great
Yeah.
idea, I'm just making sure that we don't get trouble.
And I think there's value, if people are there using it and they're willing to sign, there's value showing how they use the center. And that's, but again, they have to be willing to sign before you enter into that room.
think there's a way to.
And then part of this is also a walkthrough, allowing a walkthrough for the public to come in at a designated time. If they wanted to see it or ask questions, right? So it's kind of a two-part.
So, since you brought it up, question, do you have any future plans to do anything with your work, with your groups that you're affiliated with around the actual community center that we're trying to get past? Has there been any conversations about doing something from an education perspective to that?
We talked a little bit about after the videos are created, perhaps setting out like a Google form or a survey of residents to say like, are you satisfied with the senior center and the community center? And if so, what's your input essentially? But at this point, it really is just to inform folks. Because not everybody has the ability to go down there, or parents are like, what's open for my kid? They don't even know. So it's just
Sure.
kind of one of those.
And I'm only asking because the last few meetings we've had around the community center, we hear a lot about your name coming up and the fact that you have this group. It would almost be ideal to be able to do something like, well, this is what we have today, this is what we could have, if everybody agrees. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to look at it as an opportunity to get this thing over the goal line at some point in time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's not only part of the conversation, but in order to start the conversation and give people in town what is the conversation of what do we want in that kind of facility, what do we want in the community, they need to know what we currently have, what's available, and how it.
Stepping stones, like it.
And we talked to a little bit like with the group about like how conversations can be polarizing, you know, so if you go in with an agenda, and sway these people to go this way, then you're losing your audience.
Sure.
So we really don't, we're going in just like really neutral kind of a thing, because when you're informed, you can have educated conversations. And right now I feel like, you know, there's a lot of talk about things and people don't even know really what they're talking about. I know I don't know everything about the senior center. I know this is not a senior center meeting, but I'm just saying like, you know, just kind of get this information out there. Folks.
Sure, thank you.
So I have a, you'll love this. So even though you're doing the pictures, I think it'd be great if you could catch the little guys when they're going to different sessions. You know, to have the parents get a sense for what it's all about. When I'm there and they're waiting to go into the next session, they either got their tutus on or they're doing whatever. I think it's pretty cool.
She
And
knows
I don't
she's
know.
got that
That's, huh?
She knows her daughter takes it.
Yeah.
I know, she saw Greg today, and I
Yeah.
said, say hi to Greg to me tonight. She met Greg twice. Asshole, so,
But I think that would be cool to see, you know, in reality, what really goes on there. You know, it'd be more cumbersome for you, but it would be like firsthand knowledge.
Maybe schedule something where doing a majority for outside of operation time, but.
Yeah.
So.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we don't wanna make it look too good.
We want to share what we have.
Yeah. Well, I
It's a
think
good starting point. And then June 4th, the architect is making his presentation of the statement of needs that he's put together, along with what other facilities within town he thinks the town could use to develop such a facility, whether it be separate community centers, separate senior centers, separate pool, or none of the above, or whatever. So it's a start, and we know the council will be looking at a Y option at some point, don't know where they are on that. So this thing could evolve, and if, you know, we talked about, I know we'll be discussing it later. Trying to get the word out about Parks and Rec, more, social media. This is also a way maybe that this can start to build and help the town. I think it's a good service that you guys are willing to do. Great for the high school students to be involved and produce it, so that's my opinion.
and certainly for anything that's like sent out, you know, being able to share it with you folks, because I think that's important too. If you don't want you to approve something, then if it goes out, people are uncomfortable about it. So I think the comfort level of everybody saying, wow, this is a solid product that everybody thinks is like well developed, you know, and neutral.
Good job,
Yeah.
thanks.
It's good.
Okay.
I'll look forward to it.
Any other questions? No, okay. Comments? Okay,
Thank you,
again,
guys.
thanks for coming. I do want to know, obviously, I know Karen, I know Dan, they asked me to come to speak to their small group. On the community and senior center, I've done that, so just for transparency. appreciate what you guys have put forward here, so. Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay. We'll be discussing it at some point during our meeting. And, we can let you know, Jen can let you know after, how the commission feels about the community center side. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, approval of minutes, April 11th, can I entertain a motion? Right.
Well, I want to make a motion, but I also want to make a change.
So make the motion to accept first.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept, yep.
Yeah, second?
Second.
Luke? Okay, any discussion? Go ahead.
So, on page 2, at the, right before, number 3.
Yep.
The last sentence, is not stated correctly. Basically, if you read it, it was speaking to Sage, but I was at Piscaglia when I noted that, the girls' soccer team was parking up behind the high school, probably where that loading dock is, Steve, next to the,
Sorry, I'm sorry, where are you?
I'm on page 2,
Yeah.
and then above number 3, the last sentence, it's the end of 2.
The sentence that starts
We
with
also
my
noted-
name, he also
Yes.
noted, okay.
Right, so I'd like it to read. He also noted while at BHS, behind, while at BHS, behind the high school, lacrosse players were parking, near the back of the school, right by the gate. But Steve, you go back there, there's like a loading dock, I think there are 3 spots right there, that's where they were parking. It was the high school team too.
These are your words, you want just, do you have there, just take, right here. I just want to make sure that it's his words, right? See that last sentence?
No, that's what's wrong about it, it wasn't Steve's words, it was what Greg said,
My words.
yeah.
Oh, those are your words.
Those are
Oh,
mine.
I'm sorry, I,
I was gonna say that.
did you
that's
say
something-
Greg Star?
It goes on, it doesn't.
See,
You could say, yeah,
That's the group stated.
right,
I'll say
Yeah, it does say
Commissioner,
Commissioner Star.
Commissioner Starr also noted,
right.
while at BHS, behind Berlin High School, lacrosse players were parking
I see it.
in the loading
Middle,
zone.
it says your name.
Tim, I got it if you didn't get it.
Okay. Good, any other changes? Okay, so we have a motion to accept as is. All in favor? None, okay, good.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so can I have a motion to accept the minutes with the change?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as noted with the change.
Luke, you second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Was everyone at the last meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you weren't.
Okay, we have consent agenda items A through E. And 2 of them were on the audience of citizens. We do have an additional one that we'll add after we accept these items. So any hesitation to accept items A through E, or would you rather do the 2 that came in through audience citizens separately? Okay, can I get a motion for accepting consent agenda items A through E?
Make a motion to accept consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second.
Okay, Luke's gonna second. Any discussion on any of these items, A through E? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like a motion, and Jen has the wording as well. So,
Oh, I don't.
add to consent agenda, a request to approve Berlin youth football and cheerleading to sell food and beverages at the home football games. It's Scalise Football Field at Sage Park for 2024 season. Can I have a motion to add it to consent?
I'll make a motion that we add comments to the agenda.
Second, Joe? Any discussion on adding it?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept? We'll call this item F.
I'll make a motion that we accept item F.
Okay, non-seconds, All in favor, say aye. Okay. All right, we're covered for consent agenda items. Now we'll go to Parks and Grounds.
So you can stay if you want, so we'll touch base a little before Commission for the Aging. Not sure if I'll be at that meeting, but Tina will be there, and then we'll touch base after that about moving to council. So you're passing along, just gotta get through the. Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
Perfect. Just like I like to say every month, it's the Tony files of things that most people don't know that our department does around town and what we're involved in. Not only is it taking care of baseball fields and soccer fields and cross fields, but we actually take care of quite a lot. This month, we rebuilt the shed out the community garden. The shed was purchased back in 2009. Just throughout the years, the Texture 111 had started to fail. So we went out there and stripped it, repurposed the whole entire shed, and there's a picture of what it looks like afterwards. Facilities went out afterwards, they painted it, so the garden is, the community garden is ready to go for the year, and everybody's extremely happy with everything out there. We got a complaint along Savage Hill where the water was backing up. Into some neighbors' yards, so we had to go out along the first bend of Pistol Creek and dig a 300-foot trench to connect it from where the pipe was to the old pipe. So now that's up and flowing. We'll be back out there sometime probably in August if it ever dries out, and we have to make it compliant. So it's got to have a 2-to-1, so it'll end up being 10 feet wide the whole entire length. So any of the water coming off of Savage Hill will now go to the base of Pistol Creek and then out to the pipe down to the water. I'm sure you guys saw the new garbage pails that were placed around town. We were able to tap into the NIPS money, and I don't know if Channel 30 showed it this morning, but I know last night they had a huge thing on NIPS money. And what it is a way to reduce bulk waste because everybody's just driving around and throwing them. So we started with the Berlin High School area going up in front of Berlin High School, up Farmington Avenue and Worthington Ridge. We put a couple right in the center of town on Main Street as you're coming up the road. There's another one right there as you come around with that where a lot of people walk their dogs. One of the, what took quite a lot of time was the prepping stage park for the fishing derby for the Lions for the VIP fishing derby. Just because they have all had a lot of limited mobility in the wheelchairs and everything, so we have to make sure that all the paths and everything is compliant for them, getting ready for Tony and his guys to do a cookout, the porta potty, the benches. It just was a large event getting everything ready for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It sounds like everybody really had a good job time. Then if you go to the last thing before we go into the seating at Scoglio is the fire line. So back in February, once the snow started to melt, we started to notice a lot of people parking on the backside of high school. And the only way that we can get the police to enforce it is we have to do some new signs. So we got out there during April vacation, we striped everything out, and added all their signage. What they're trying to do now, I think what Greg was trying to talk about is there's a loading dock. So it says no parking here, no parking here. So now they're parking in the middle. There's nothing we can do about that except, you know, if you notice it, and if it bothers you, you should probably reach out to the police department, have them come down and have a conversation with them. That would probably be the best way to put an end to it. But there's no way that emergency personnel prior to the signs could get back there if there was a fire, an emergency. It just was gridlocked. We've seen it lighten up a little bit since the signs. Not saying it's fixed at all, but it's made a difference. It's just, you know, like I said, we've always done all the paint, parking lot painting, all the stencil painting, all the handicap painting, all the crosswalk, like it's all done in-house. We don't sub any of it out, so kudos to the crew. They definitely worked their keeps throughout last month. And then we can go into seeing it VHS.
Hey, before you do, can I just say that, you know, from the Berlin Lions perspective, Sage Park for the VIP fishing permit was wonderful. Everyone just commented on how nice Sage looked. The pavilion was, I mean, considering how old it is, it's in great shape. We use a fireplace, sleeping tables, everything. I mean, it was a really, really nice event. And I have no, well, I do have one issue with it. I will bring it up to you. But otherwise, the place looks fabulous. I think everyone that went there just had a really good time. We're talking about having a lot of out of town people. So really no way, you know, when our stuff looks that good, putting our best foot forward. You know what I mean? They come in from another town, they bring in their family, they bring in their grandparents, they come to this fishing event, and the place looks spectacular. So, you guys,
I'll definitely pass the word on.
so my only issue that I have is, and it's one that I sent you a picture of, is those portals with the pumps. Like, those things are not working correct. So after you told me that I should have pumped the floor, right? When I went back in there again, this time it was the same issue, and I pumped it like crazy. So what's happening is, you know, somebody's using paper. They're not getting down the hole.
Yeah, they're
And
putting,
then the next person is just going right on top of that.
they're putting paper towels.
Yeah, and it's just unfound.
I mean, the only other option, which I don't believe is acceptable, and I think part of the agreement of when we decided to go with the flush rules is to go back to the standards.
Yeah.
And I just think that it was frowned upon having the open
It is.
commode when you went in there. This was kind of our only way to
Yeah.
combat that.
Yeah.
We'll make some signs and put in there to get people to flush them or don't, try to find a way to do it. I mean, in 3 years, we've had 2 complaints, so I'm really gonna say like the 80-20
Were they
rule
both mine?
no, only one. But I mean, I think for the 80-20 rule, I think we're succeeding there. It really seems to be positive compared to the complaints we got prior to having the old commodes when my daughter and that. It was a plethora of complaints, so but we will find a way to get some notes stuck in there. Maybe talk to the manufacturer that can open it up.
I don't know if it's it's the paper towels. Cause I just went in there, and both of them, I went to both of them on a Saturday morning. Matter of fact, it was a Saturday morning that Deb was there for the fishing derby in the rain, and she was there bright and early. But I pumped 27 times to get what was in the.
Two, I was two.
Huh? That's right. But I mean, so if you don't put paper towels in there, maybe they'll solve the problem.
Paper towels, people.
Well,
Under
it-
paper towels in the.
Well, then you
Yeah,
have to
that's
wash your hands, you
Just
just
washing your hands.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I mean, but when you get the stuff in there, you just, wash it anyway. But if you really want to make it clean, there's no place to put them. That's where they're gonna go, so,
I'll also
Well,
say that,
there's basket,
there's no
there's
basket.
no basket in it?
There's not even room for a basket.
no, they're flushing.
We'll check it out.
Greg, you have a lot of time. in
I was checking out the fields to see if they were ready.
This is how conscientious he is, Steve, is that I emailed him, I don't know if it was a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
The first time with 2 photographs of those toilets and saying, that's it. I just didn't expect to hear from him again until Monday. Within an hour, I got an email back, within another, I think it was already corrected within that hour. So within 2 hours, the whole thing was fixed
Absolutely.
on a weekend.
That's Steve for it.
We're lucky enough that our budget affords us some overtime and to take care of situations, and that's kind of what we were doing. All right, let's get to the hot topic.
Yeah.
Here we go. So Jen
I
and
want to
I,
hear what Steve has to say about this.
so Jen and I both knew going into the project, and so did everybody, that seating was going to be a problem at some. I don't think either one of us ever expected how big of a problem the seating was going to be. We were made aware of the issue on opening weekend of soccer. And the first thing we did was reach out to John Riley, who was very responsive, got an email out to everybody. And within the next week, I would say probably the first week, 75% of the people had either brought their own blanket to lay on, sit on, and everything like that. A couple days after that, Jen had received a phone call from a elderly woman saying, or an elderly citizen saying, hey, by the way, it's a far walk from me. I have nowhere to sit. So we had taken 2 additional bleachers with benches and brought them out into the field. And it says reserved for limited mobility, which we thought did pretty good. The next weekend we got a complaint. There was a few other people that were out there. So Jen and I talked about it. We ordered another 6 benches. 6 benches were delivered on Monday, installed, put together on Tuesday. So currently right now we have 8 15-foot benches out there, which will probably fit somewhere around 100 people, sit down comfortably with their families. They're right off the field. So if somebody comes there, wants to sit down and watch it, and what it seems to be is when they have several of these games of whatever age group that is, that there's a lot of people there at the same time. Well, now we've given them some seating. So if you don't want to sit on the blanket, there's definitely seating there for you. Then we also looked into over the last 48 hours of what it would cost for us to put an ADA path. So you come down the ramp, take a left, go down, it's about a 250-foot stretch. So we're thinking somewhere around about right around $25,000 would give us a nice 5-foot path. It would give us a stanchion big enough for 2 5-row bleachers. Those 2 5-row bleachers, right around $12,000. So we're probably looking at like a $37,000 to $40,000 job behind the fence. Then, as we started to talk about it longer and reaching out to people that have been using the field and getting their opinion of like, how do we combat this? Like, what is the problem? And it comes down to something that it's not, no matter what we do, the parents want to sit as close as they possibly can to their kid. So if they're not willing to sit on a blanket, or they're not willing to sit on one of the 8 benches that are there, they have no other choice than to do what track has done since 1990, have to sit outside of the fence. So kind of like that is our end all decision, that even if we were to put bleachers, mom and dad don't want to sit 27 feet away. They want to sit on the field, and they're going to sit on the field. Historically, soccer has always sat 2 feet off the line, and it's just a culture change. And I think this year we had a lot of problems, and I think according to everybody I talked to today, 95% of the people now are either sitting on the benches or they're sitting on a blanket with their family. So I think that's what it is. Yes, there's a knee-jerk reaction, and a lot of people are a little ticked off that, wait, how did we spend $2.2 million when we don't have an extravagant grandstand? We could have as big of a grandstand as we want. They still want to be on top of their kids on the field. And I know Donnie had questions about it. I'll open up the floor. Any other ideas that we kind of haven't thought about?
I'll just say that it's working, but I mean, the emails went out and all the supervisors sent them to their groups too. And then when I'm there 3 nights a week, I'm usually walking around, and they've been good. They've been creative. One guy on Sunday was sitting, he had the back of his chair on the cement to open the gates for the lice. And, but other than that, they've been all good. I mean, it wasn't easy early on because there were some old people there that they couldn't stand and needed places that I think that this would be helpful. Are you talking about, by the way, if you put bleachers in the west side, or are you talking about the east side with the?
I'm talking about the side where all the storage containers are. That, whatever side of that. It's the only ADA accessible path.
Okay, that's fine.
You have to go around
there.
there. I got very limited to no elevation.
Yeah.
Because we have to be compliant.
So, like you said, it's really a cultural thing. And what happens is, it's really for mini kickers, where you got 3.5 or 4.5-year-old boys and girls, and then nothing that are, 6 and 7, right? So they've always been there, and sometimes they were sitting on stage on the field around them, in between each of the 25, 30 grids. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think it's a good change and an option that we can't complain about.
Yeah, I don't think, just to go back to it, I don't think we've sent an email out to John Riley letting him know about the new benches. I think he wanted to talk to you guys about it first before we let him know that the benches are there. Please have your coaches if they get early, spread them out, make sure everybody has a place to sit. I think that's going to work really well. I know that at the beginning of the month, we sent out an email that we were looking to buy 250. They're like coasters. So you take a chair, you sit on the coaster, you go onto the coaster. It's made by Brock. It's completely perfectly awesome for the field. So when we called the company to order them, we asked them, can we use a folding chair, use a bag chair? So the guy went out into the parking lot, pulled out the bag chair and went with the bag chair on it. The bag chair doesn't fit on the coaster. So they got in contact with their engineering team. They're starting to figure out how they can create a mold for that. And if that mold does come out and it is something that we use, we will purchase them, have them stored in the can. We would ask whatever group is using, bring out a box of them. Anybody wants to use them, they can sit on them. Yes, a few of them might walk here and there, but we would try to police it, that we didn't lose it, and that would give us the ability to let more people come and sit with their closer to watch their kids. So it's a learning curve on all of our parts. The negative side of this is if we were to decide to go, yes, let's really look into spending the $40,000 on the ADA path and the pad and the bleachers, that has to go through capital and it'll go through the Board of Ed capital, not the grounds capital.
I think this is a great alternative. I think you guys, responded pretty well. For the high school, if the high school should ever use that field, like for freshmen, where it's like he's talking, that's where I would be concerned,
So.
right? That this might not be sufficient.
Right, so the next conversation we had is, as a coach of pro high school football, would you really want to be having a game on a Saturday morning, JV game or a freshman game, and having that many parents standing behind you? So the way we would probably go as our rule with the athletic department would be, you are having a freshman JV game or a varsity game at Piscataway, and all spectators need to be outside the fenced area.
Right.
Because that is a liability to the town,
Just like track.
And the
because
track,
someone's gonna get hurt, it's gonna be too close, someone's gonna hear something they really didn't hear, it's just gonna be too congested. And that would be our suggestion to the athletic department, with the mini pickers.
That's probably the best way, because you do it track, so.
Yeah, it's not like you're heading.
we have Sage Park,
Yeah.
we have benches, and those are outside the
You're not
field.
allowed to go on the field.
And if you ever have to purchase it because of the high school, I mean, honestly, that's gotta be a high school type of expenditure,
drive-
sharing of the expenditure so that you can get some.
I drive by Platt High School every day on my way home, so when there's a 3 o'clock game, they're all on the sidewalk right next to the street behind their fence in their bag chairs lined up along, not even close to the
Oh,
field.
no, I went to track games there and soccer games, did the same thing.
So you can't put anything in the dirt on, like when you walk into the right, there's that little zone where everybody lines into close, like you can't put anything on that little field there.
For which sport?
Right next to the high.
Or any of, really, when you're on the track, when you walk in, you go to the right, and everybody aligns that fence to watch the track meet. Can you put anything little on that hill to sit? It's like a little, some of it's flat,
It's like right behind where Long John
Outside the
is.
fence.
outside the
Yeah,
fence.
outside.
Outside on the wood line. It's on the
Yes,
opposite
yes,
side.
yes.
I'm gonna probably, be the negative, I'm gonna say no, because I don't think we could be 2-to-1 pitch out to there, and then whatever bleachers we put there, we have to make sure that there's an ADA pad that goes around it, so if somebody came in a wheelchair, they would have to back in, so because this is a new amenity at a field, everything we do has to be ADA. That's why we repaved the path coming down, that's why if you go to stage one now has a pad around it, anytime you do any type of substantial improvement, we have to make sure that we supersede all the ADA requirements.
So, the players don't, they said the opposite.
With their own
With their own bleachers, okay. I was gonna do my. Thank you.
Did you move to that? So there was usually four sets, and two for each team, right? They're on the players side.
There's 2 sets, there's 2 benches on the right side of the field,
Yeah.
there's 6 benches on the left side.
But it's good.
I had a question, about signage, but I don't know if it's a good time to talk about it now or wait. Or for the field. So I'm the volunteer supervisor for the mini kicker, so like, I've been sending out the emails to parents and like. On opening day, when people were coming up with their chairs and stuff, I was, humorously saying, oh, can't use the chair, and then everybody was really, really great. But I did see some elderly people really struggle to like get their chairs back to their cars, and I offered to bring them back. My question is there a possibility to maybe have a bigger sign about the chairs? Just because when you go up to the sign, it's very small and it's like towards the bottom, there are bullet points, when you go over towards the tennis court. I'm just wondering if there's like a picture of a chair with like an X on it, maybe even closer to the parking lot, because we do have a lot of families who have relatives from out of town that might be taking care of the mini kicker kids, like 3 and 4 year olds that are coming out of the field. And like, I was there on opening day to, divert people and X the chairs out. But the concern is, later as the season goes on, like, would a bigger sign maybe alert people? Because I don't think people are intentionally trying to break rules, but a lot of them were clueless. And if it's an elderly family member or an extended family member, they're not receiving the emails from the league, and they may not be getting information from the families. That's just an idea, and I'm not sure, but it might just kind of help a little bit with messaging and keeping the field, as it needs to be.
Look at signs, a lot of good times, by the time they see the sign, it's too late, they've already come from the park, right? So it's really, we're really putting the onus on the teams, and coaches, and get the word out to people, so they don't even track
It
them.
really is the out of town games, we have people coming here, you have to remind each age group that you have to confirm the game, you have to send them an email that has them tell their parents. When South Windsor came, it was fine, I mean, but he was good about getting it out.
You guys, I mean, it's gonna be communicated and, you know, it's gonna take a little while to work on, but I'll just know during the meeting, we're not really open to audience citizens, but there are times when we've allowed people to speak, so we can.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay,
It's you, it's fine.
it's okay.
All right,
It's okay.
I missed this on the agenda is disc golf. I know
Can
that,
I just ask? Are there any more comments? I mean, at this point, I think that's a good move, so, thank you, okay.
all right, disc golf, I walked into the meeting yesterday and I was very apprehensive of going with it, just because some of the comments that were made and looking into how popular the sport is, and I was very hesitant, and as the conversation went on, I think I became more comfortable with the idea of inviting an 18-hole disc golf course inside of Pistol Creek, inside the park paths, not going near the houses, not going near the neighbors, staying away from the clubhouse, the pump house in that area. And so what they're looking for is pretty much little to no maintenance from the town. They would build the course. What that means is they would figure out exactly, they would have the diagram, they'd have the whole location, they know exactly where they want each hole to end, or, you know, the basket, that's where the basket would go. We had some concerns, like what would happen during large events. So we first started off with cross-country meets. Every cross-country meet, they would get on their website, they have this Frisbee group, and they would say, Pistol Creek closed these dates. And then on the day of it, it would pop up, course closed.
That happens at many other of their courses.
Yep.
They would do that.
Yep,
They would do it all.
we would still post it on
Yep.
town.
Right,
Facebook
just like you
page,
do the dog.
Just like
park.
we do for the dog
The town
park.
closes down the dog
Yep.
park. you
And we would
close
put a
it.
sign on the
Yep.
community board.
It would be closed during the holiday distributions. So anytime that they were doing the holiday distributions where there was a ton of cars, hundreds of cars lined up and down Spruce Brook, it would be closed at that point. We would like to put a moratorium on it when it would open and close on a yearly basis, the same way we do the tennis courts. Yes, we turn the lights off on November 1st, but we'd like to keep the nets up as long as we possibly can and get the nets back up. So once we took the tennis nets down from here, we would take the baskets down, bring them in, so there's nobody out there working, walking, playing, doing anything. That was one of our suggestions. They seemed to be okay with it. They said they have some really diehards that would really want to play all winter long, but we would then fall into the town's part with perma of slip and fall protection. Tournaments, we had a long conversation about tournaments, of how we would handle 40, 60, 70 cars on top of the normal flow of them. And they said way they would do it is just like a shotgun is with golf. There would be 72 people teams at the same time. Those 72 people would utilize Walmart's parking lot or either one of the two commuter parking lots at Cromwell. They would carpool together and then come in as a group.
Which is also something they do at some of their own.
Is that how many people that they would
Yeah.
normally get? So
So if they were gonna
For
do a
a tournament,
tournament,
yeah.
they would do 72 or 144, same as a double, you know.
And one of their most popular courses has, you have to pay for parking. So they're all used to carpooling to get to courses.
We looked at like, and we'll talk about this as we get closer to the fee schedule, is how we would come out with how we would rent Pistol Creek's 18-hole disc golf out. Currently, we have the fee set
Only
up
for
for fields, but only for tournaments.
Only for
For the fields, and the way we would do is we make it self-sufficient. So if we ran 7 tournaments a year, that money would go into a fund inside the Parks and Grounds Department, and we would manage anything that needs to be done at that park. If it was basket got damaged, we would utilize the money we earned during the tournament to repair it. So it's no additional cost on the taxpayer. The money would be going into a special fund.
only for, disc golf?
Or we have it for everything else.
That money
but
would be,
We would
yeah.
we would appropriate the money just to disc golf. Like we have other revenue streams that we have with fields being rented, the nutmeg games, that goes into like the stage improvement fund, which now fixes all the fields. It's not just earmarked towards one.
So why only tournaments?
Because typically you're only getting 4 players at a time, so in other towns, they're not reserving it. They're only reserving through towns when they have tournaments, they're not reserving it for every use, that would be way too much to handle, it would be way too.
Well, no, I get it, but how do we combat that with people that wanna go use our normal parks and we have them, if there are not so many people within the town?
Because typically you wouldn't get more than 10 at a disc golf course at once anyway as one group. You might get your group of 4 and an hour later, there might be another group of 4, but they're very rarely, they don't have groups of 10, they have groups of 4.
So
He said, you'll go, and if there's a group of 6, other groups, regular disc golf players are saying, why do you have 6 people? You should only have 4, because it slows up the course.
So it's when they have the tournament that they have the big group.
Correct.
And then we're limited, we have so many parking spots, that's all we got.
Yep.
So although they say they'll carpool, if it's free, just like golf, Timberland gets packed. They have a shotgun, everybody is there at the same time, and they're there. You know, I don't know if they congregate afterwards, but how many spaces would we have left for the public to use Pistol Creek and the dog park?
I don't know the stocks with them.
I don't either, we have to count each.
All right, that's one thing, let's just know what we have for parking spots, we have to, so maybe designate
Oh,
something.
yeah, you can also reserve them for, for the polling.
Go ahead, Don,
So,
go ahead.
So I'm just a little nervous about this because what I'm concerned about is, it's a lot of our parks today, we make sure people have to sign up, register, and if it is out of town, people playing, you gotta pay, right? And this year, it sounds like, get the tournaments, I understand that. But how are we gonna control just normal play? It just seems
How do
like.
we control normal play on the tennis courts or the basketball courts?
I'm just asking the
No, I know.
because I'm just trying to understand how we don't get people to come in here and complain about the fact that Donna's point that we can't walk, we can't do something because either there's no parking or there's someone else utilizing it. I just want to make sure that we understand that, because of the concerns that people may come back to us.
Right, and that was their concern to us as well, is they encourage us, they want us to do an honor system of pay to play. Where you would you'd have a QR code, you sign the QR code and say it's $5 to play around, you would hit the button, it would go to $5 to the town of Berlin. We currently don't have the infrastructure or anything set up to be able to have those meetings, so it's really not that we
And they don't do that at other parks yet either.
we can't do it, like, they're saying this is what's the next
You'd be
step.
doing Timberland Golf Course, quite frankly.
Right,
Yeah,
and
that's
you know,
what you, exactly.
we don't. Ally's only one person, and how
Right,
would
we
she
don't-
manage
no,
this?
no, okay.
So if there was another course or another town or somebody that already found a system built inside of it where you walk up to the QR code, you hit it, you pay your $5, then it would be the same as us renting the field out to somebody.
But they're not there yet at any other courses, that's.
So
their
it sounds
goal.
like we have
Sure.
answers, I guess, I'm going with this, we have the answers in case people do come here and talk to us about it. We have answers to some of those questions that we're just going back and forth here right now.
But I think
Like maybe
there is gonna be an issue with these tournaments, just because I play golf, Don works at the course. When we have shotguns, you're all coming in at once, and again, I'm sure they'll try and carpool, because they wanna do the right thing, but people being people, you got 144 people or 72
Yeah.
people, you're gonna have half of those people driving themselves.
Right, there was like literally last Sunday with the baseball team, there was no place for people to walk.
And that's a Timberland,
That was at Timberland down below, there was no parking spaces available for you to walk in with your dogs.
right, so I think we just have to go through that.
Right, but I think we're also putting in that we have the ability to say to them, listen, our rule is if you're having a tournament, you are the carpool. If we see that the parking lot is overflowed, we'll no longer offer a tournament. We have the ability to do all.
And we could say, we're not gonna
So
do
you'll-
144 tournament, we're only doing 72 tournaments at this facility.
We could set the ground rules, and even if it's 144, the double shotgun is going to take place at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, and I would imagine they're gonna go to like 8 and 1.
Right, and,
But we can control whatever happens there.
okay, so police have to be there if it's over 100.
Typically, we have told police if we have a big event and they make the decision. If we had
But
72.
they have to apply to the police, right?
I let the
You
police
give the
know,
application.
I give them the contact information.
Because the residents in that area aren't used to that
Right.
type of traffic.
For
either.
a 72-person tournament, I
gotta
would inform the
right.
police.
So that, my concern is not the 4 people playing disc
Right.
golf or disc golf in general. My concern are these tournaments and getting a big load in, plugging the parking lot, causing traffic issues. Unless the police officer's there to manage.
But we could also say no to tournaments.
And the 2 liaisons we met
Yeah,
that
you
are gonna,
can, but
that are gonna be our go-to people, seem very, very involved, very in tune and in touch with the disc golf community, and I feel like we had a really good rapport with them,
Yeah.
and, you know, we
are
tried,
those the 2 that are here in Berlin?
yeah,
Or you-
yep. Yeah,
Chris and
Rob's
Steve.
kinda handing it over to them.
So we talked about some of
Do
the,
they want any money?
what?
Do they want any money?
No, that's what next thing I was gonna tap on, is what I would like to do is I would like to cover as much as I can possibly cover out of the year-end expenses out of my grounds budget. So if I can afford the baskets, the lumber, whatever it is for it, I would like to try to cover it as adding a new amenity to the town of Berlin and something new, something that we've never had. And I don't want to put the burden back on them to go through raising $15,000-$20,000. It's kind of the same thing as a playground. We cover the full cost of the playground. We don't ask for donations. We don't solicit them. If this group at a later point wants to add a different amenity or add something above and beyond to this, like sign boxes or whatever it is, or they get sponsors, then at that time they can either go through the proper procedure of coming to you guys, then going to town hall and asking town hall permission for them to accept a $10,000 donation to build whatever we put in.
Steve, again, just trying to keep big picture here, right? Did we make donations to pickleball?
We purchased all the
I'm
nets.
sorry, not I mean donations, purchased.
We purchased all the nets, we purchased all we hired
What's in the
someone
box?
to do all the painting, we've done everything.
Just asking for the
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
So no one would come back and complain to us about pickleball that we didn't do anything if we do this.
So the money would come out of your budget?
Yep.
Operating or capital?
Operate.
So now what happens when things come up and you used up, you talked about year round, like
Right,
you'll
so-
go into surpluses.
Yeah, so we had a conversation come up in November with them. And with a figure like. what can we do?
20,000, just like,
And I'm like, I can't guarantee you anything.
right,
Knowing where I am right now, with less than 6 weeks to the end of the fiscal year, I have a pretty good idea of what funds I have where. Of what I can allocate towards them to help them out with the construction of the course. I mean, they're willing to come in and build the whole entire course. I would not want to get forced in the month.
and the timing for building the course would be when?
I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they've figured out exactly
The
when they would
time.
build, it, how they would build it. I would imagine they would probably try to build it in August, September, when the course is gonna be dry and not wet, where we've had a chance to mow it. That would be my guess.
And the area that they're mainly talking about is, we got the dog park, right? They're talking about the next area,
They're talking about anything, so if you walk the outer loop, 1.3 miles, everything inside the outer loop, inside of there is where, inside the outer. loop,
inside the path,
Inside the path.
going
Nothing
around
else.
the dog park.
Yep.
The fenced in,
All the
between
way
the,
around Spruce Brook, down back by the Anderson's house, and then come along the bottom.
They wouldn't be used
Show
all
it.
18 holes,
I don't know. if you
because one of the
guys-
holes
like
is
here-
for the.
Here's our parking lot here,
Yeah, so the clubhouse here,
Clubhouse here, you
Yeah.
walk across,
right, yeah,
here's the porta potty that doesn't flush.
yes, yeah,
Go all the way around, all 18 holes would be in the bowel of that.
and the walkway
Yep,
is here,
yep.
right? So they're going inside, the dog park's here, they're,
So the dog park's here,
oh, okay, oh,
the
so
sign is here, so all the
this
holes.
is one set of a fairway.
No, this is the whole
That's what I'm
1.3 miles of the
right.
whole entire outside
Yeah.
of this.
Okay, sorry, the dog park is in the middle one.
Yep.
Right, okay, gotcha. So going on all the outside.
Yep. Everything would be inside of that.
Right,
So there's still trails that kind of cut through, right? Like obviously they would be going across the trail, it would just.
Right.
Yeah, following the path.
A hole would
It
be.
does not disrupt the walkers at all, it does not
Right.
disrupt the dog.
How about
park.
noise?
Very little noise. People talking, maybe a yell of excitement if they hit it.
Okay, I only say that because the house is here, right? So again, these are all things that we're gonna hear about it at some point.
Right, and
I don't understand why you guys are saying that. This is this is kind of like a quiet sport.
Is it?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, totally. See, I think
Throwing
golf,
frisbees at
golf is a
baskets.
quiet sport. It's
Same
it's not a buffet, of course.
Yeah.
It's so quiet.
I was at the trail you make off.
Right, right.
Yeah, like I said, they hit a hole in one, they might get a little exciting, you know,
Yeah.
three, but that's about it.
Okay.
It's not kids running rampant, it's,
You know, I have the same concerns about the tournament thing, but I'd rather try and forge ahead.
Yeah, it's not a great idea.
Yeah. me too.
Well, I don't know if this is the right way to say this, but I think we would look for you guys to agree as a commission, so this way we can go to council on Tuesday and say, hey, the Conservation Commission discussed this with the group, they're on board, Park and Rec Commission is on board, then roll it out to the town council and see how they feel. At least we have a baseline that everybody bought in and everybody's on board, and not one person is surprised that something is happening that they don't know is.
So I would feel, I mean, generally I feel comfortable with that, but I would go to the council and go and say though that we understand, you know, we have a fixed number of parking spaces. We have to work with them on those types of issues. We have to work on, to make sure that other people can use Pistol Creek, because that's what it's meant for everybody, including disc golf, that's fine. And the third thing is, and I know Jen said she would do it, but when it is mapped out, we need to include the cross-country coaches to make sure it doesn't interfere with their cross-country needs, and they're on board.
yeah, and it would be closed for their, so there
So
would be,
they're on board,
The
but
course
they
is
do,
closed.
they would like
the
to,
course would be closed, so there would be no conflict with them.
right, but there are, where the baskets are, they're gonna have something above ground. I just wanna make sure there's no tripping hazards for the cross-country.
I think
I
we already
mentioned
have.
it to Stalker as well,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
They
said,
sent us a bunch of emails today.
So just make sure that it all works, that's all I'm asking. Get their sign off, just like we did the dog park, it worked, it all worked. Once but we made changes, I know,
I think I lost a lot of hair on my dog.
well,
Nobody
Yeah.
uses.
and it's so well used.
So do you need us to make a motion? Is that what you're asking us to do?
I don't think, I mean,
No, I think
can,
we're not really,
I'm ready,
I think generally,
forward.
they
If you have generalized
support,
support.
supported at this stage, yeah.
yeah, as long as you have generalized support, it's not something we have to vote on
And
unless you want
you
to.
know what the discussion comments are, and if we're not at a point to vote on something right now. We don't have anything in front of us, so.
Do you want to, at one point, do you want to vote on this?
And what other information do you
The-
want to bring
The
up?
write-up of how we're gonna handle disc golf for people using it. You know,
I mean, the
normal
tournament
play-
fee schedule won't happen until November when we do a fee schedule.
but you're gonna incorporate a fee schedule and so. And you're gonna supplement, the budget with that
Maybe
$5
come back.
surcharge or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
when your
We
budget
need to have a
year is
write-up.
over, come back to us and tell us how much you're.
Once we hit July
July
first, I will have no funds to
Right,
put
so,
towards it.
so
Right,
hopefully
you
that
gotta-
we can spend some of this
You
year's
gotta
money
reserve it.
on
gotta-
some of them.
I can't use.
He has to spend his money before a certain date, before June 30th. So if we have to come back to you with his vote, he loses the money that he could spend.
But how do you spend it when, unless you've mapped it out and they're committed and they're going forward, right?
It's all mapped out. It's,
So you have the course mapped out.
Yeah, but
they-
We don't right here.
the second week of June again, right? You'll have a very good idea of what money you can put towards it. And what
I will
money-
not be able to spend it.
Well, that's no problem.
He has to spend, he has to cut.
So what's this by the end of this month? Probably the 20th.
He'll have to cut a purchase order and has to do that, so
Okay.
then absolutely. So if you, but don't spend the money until you get the sign, honestly, the sign offs, I wanna make sure cross country works. I personally, important to me. I wanna make sure the parking works. I don't wanna spend the money until we have all that thought process. Put it on a piece of paper, this is how it's gonna work.
Sounds like Parks and Rec. Yeah. That's what they're for.
Then we have our meeting in June. That's not too late for you to cut your purchase.
I won't be able to,
Purchase orders have to be done before,
No.
by the end of May.
I won't be able to order, procure the product
Yeah.
prior to July.
Right, right.
We have to have the product. It's not just, you can't wait until June
How much is
29th and
that?
ordering it.
I don't
Oh,
need
you
more
gotta
on
have it.
something.
So you need to spend it like,
It's more like advising us, like you advise us that you like this idea and this consensus, we should move forward with
We
this.
have
Or
consensus,
do it
you
by
have
us.
consensus,
You have that.
you have consensus to move forward.
But hold on a second. I mean, I'm comfortable, and I agree. I think it's great that we want to do something new, innovative, right, it's a little different. I've never heard of this before. I'm looking forward to see what it's all about. I also want to make sure the cross country coaches. Turf. They come back tomorrow and say, we're good, I'm good.
Yeah, they're already on board,
I
they're
know
already
that
on board with the
there's not gonna-
plan.
It's. Yeah, we gotta, just gotta cross our T's.
Should be a quick call to them. Are you ever running on the grass? Cause they're all running on the pavement. It's like, so
That's
it's
the
always.
plan. We already know it's not a
Yeah,
contest, but if you
yeah.
want me to call 12 years old and
you
get
know,
that
that
in
Susie
writing.
is totally.
We mapped it out
flexible.
already.
Just anything that you give,
Right.
but it's the McGee.
But Susie, I think Susie is part of this through Unified Sports. So I think him and Britta's Unified Sports.
So the
through
high school is 100% on.
100% wants it.
Right.
Just Garrity also wants it through younger kids. The requests have come from the school system.
Yeah.
Not just from the one guy.
So.
No, I
when-
appreciate it.
When
So,
we went forward with the dog park, one of the people that was asking the most questions and had the most concern was the McGee cross country. coach.
Bristol,
Yeah, he was the
and
one
he
that,
made changes,
yeah, he
again, but
came,
not that
he
this
was
has to
very
be
vocal
changed,
about it,
but I
so
don't
maybe
know.
just get him to look at.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know,
That's easy.
we met out
And
there.
even if he has
you
a
know,
problem
so-
with one of them, we can tell them to move it. Like the vibe we got from them is they're gonna make it work no matter what.
Sure,
what's
yeah.
required.
Yeah, so as long as the cross-country coaches have told you that, then you got your answer. You've mapped it out, so you got your answer.
Right, our next step would be going to the council, because there might be a large group of residents who have a problem along Savage Hill. Who don't like the idea. And you don't want anybody getting a lot of it.
Right, right, some notice or something, I don't know what it is, but
And your drop dead date, placing the POs.
it's a May 31st, they gotta cut the.
May 28th is the last day to cut a PO.
I just need to, if we decide to buy the baskets, I have to get a hold of the vendor who makes the baskets, find out what the price of the baskets are gonna be, get his W-9 and open it, and see when he can deliver. If he says it's a 1 week turnaround, I don't have to make my decision till later. If it's a 6 weeks turnaround, we already know this idea is kibosh with no town funding till the end of next fiscal year. Cause I can't go into spending 2000 fiscal year 25 money and taking something away from our current athletic fields or our current infrastructure or whatever it is in our operating, take it away from that. This year I know where I'm at, I know where we've saved some money along the way. A lot of it is because of the way the weather has been, all the rain that has happened. We haven't utilized their irrigation. And if you're not using irrigation, you're saving money with your water and sewer bill. So that's giving me some funding and some flexibility to be able to have health.
This is my thought. You've been managing this operation for a while. You know what your budget is. If you feel you have funds available to do something like this, that's gonna enhance the town, I say go for it. The only thing is that we just have to make sure that, you know, everyone's buying, and more importantly, that we're not overlooking some other things that you potentially may be able to enhance. And I'm gonna use playground for a moment. I believe we're all set there, but we're not gonna hear noise from any other party because we're doing something here or not.
Right, the playground was budgeted at 200,000. I hit my operating for another 15,
Yeah.
which put us at 215,000. I can't even order any piece of playground equipment out there right now that would be delivered prior to July 1st, and I have no money left in playgrounds.
So you got our consensus and, okay.
Yeah.
You know the concerns, you know, so, okay.
And I just wanna make sure people understand, no one's debating, this. I just want to make sure we have this conversation because of the fact that we know how people are sometimes and when they come in here and complain about some things. At least we have the dialogue, so we can say we had the dialogue, we'll listen to it if we have problems.
And that's why we know we have to go to town council with
As
this,
new
we
things
know about
happen,
those
some people are
residents.
gonna complain at some point. We work through those issues when they come up.
Right.
But we think it through, you got a plan down, it's written.
Good job, thank you.
You're welcome. I think that's,
Personal.
oh, personal soccer, we were hoping to have personal soccer online May first. Due to the extremely wet fall that we had, we started laying grass and then we had 7 substantial rainstorms. After that, when the sod came from Winding Brook, it came with a lot of POA in it. And when it came in with the POA and it started to grow, it just looked like hay. It was not very inviting. And US Pitch Care was talking to us and they're like, we can't turn this field over to you like this. Winding Brook came out, they gave us 20 rolls of sod, they rolled up all the sod, they laid all brand, they rolled 20 brand pieces of sod. And after that, everything is going pretty good. We're still working with them for a couple of chemical applications to be able to cut down the POA. We're hopeful that possibly next Wednesday, the 15th, we're gonna meet on site, turn it over and then be able to open it up. Hopefully, maybe possibly that weekend weather, depending if we can get a guy out there to line. So the reason it's not open right now is because of defective sod that came from the checkpoint.
That's fine. So I did walk the field Sunday ago. And like you said, I mean, they mowed it, but what happened was when they put some of the sod in, they didn't cut it exactly, they overlapped it. So you have little pieces sticking up along the edges because they overlapped it. And when they mowed it, it sucked them up. And so the sod was moved around. I went over there and replaced all the sod that was moved. There were little pieces, like slices in, I put those back in too. But when the pieces were loose, there wasn't a lot of roots coming out of them.
Right, so yeah, so to speak to what you're talking about, is what happened is, due to the compaction problem that we were kind of having, what we did is we went in there and shockwaved it. And what a shockwave is, it's a large bed knife that goes down into the ground about 8 inches. It goes down, when it goes in, it kicks, which breaks up the hard end of the ground. So they shockwaved it north-south, and then they shockwaved.
Yeah, I saw this, it was like square.
So it looks like a square, so what Greg is talking about, it's a square, and that promotes the roots from going deeper. The roots don't have to go deeper because there's so much surface water right now, your roots are just staying in the top 2 inches. Yes, they're going, but we need to get a drought, we need to get them to go down to the water, and once they go down to the water, everything is gonna start to grow it better. You know, the fertility program is working, the grass is growing, it's green, it's lush, it's beautiful. You just can't get the water to penetrate into the root system, because currently there's.
And the big thing is, it's like a very small percentage of the field. The field looks great. And the sod that was there and taking, it's great. It's like you're walking on poopy grass and it doesn't move. Like, right. But I mean, it was, it's great. I mean, that's, I don't know, 97%. It's just a very small percentage of stuff.
So, so when do you think, I mean, this.
We're hoping to meet next Wednesday if everything goes right. If we meet next Wednesday, we decide, Jen and us decide to accept the field, substantial completion, we will open the field up the next week. As long as I can get DJ in there to paint it the 14th or the 15th.
I would just, I mean, if you need another week, you guys decide. I mean, we've lived with it this long. I'd rather have the sod suck it in the ground, so.
Well, we had that conversation with John Riley, he's, you know, yeah, he wants it, but he understands it, hey, we're doing it right, let's do it right.
Yeah, right. Okay, thanks. Okay. Anything else for you? Are you done?
It
Finally,
take a lot of time. I don't know.
We're all set, right? Okay, yeah. Or, right, that's it, yeah, that's. Okay.
Turned in my monthly, so any questions?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Summer program to be filled.
And, we didn't get a ton of phone calls, you know, a couple here or there, but it's not like we were bombarded with angry people that they didn't get in, you know. A couple people called and they're like, oh, it was today, like, it was my own fault, like, I knew I should have gotten on at 7 and just wanted to confirm it was closed, so.
Some siblings not getting it, we'll have some movement before. Yes, sir.
Were you able to, based on Donna's email about high school and the,
No, I was not.
The registration's out there for the pool passes now.
Yeah, we
That's
started
already-
Monday, yep, so we give everyone 2 weeks to come in, you have to get a pool pass in person before you can sign up for swim lessons. So we're giving people 2 weeks to come in and do that, and then they can sign up for swim lessons online, so they don't have to come back in, so. We've been doing that the last few years, it's worked out really well, people are happy with that, and because if we start registration on a Monday morning. And you have to get your pool pass to sign up for lessons, well, people work and they can't do that, so this is fair, you know, we're open late, we were open late tonight, we'll be open next Thursday, so it gives people an opportunity to come in, so.
Are you all staffed for the
Any
personal
limitations?
pool?
Oh, sorry, no, please don't, go ahead.
All staffed for the personal pool?
So, I reached out to all the people that had indicated they want to come back, because I wanted to get an idea of schedule. I still have not heard from a few people, which is a frustration when you deal with high school kids. I did have an interview with someone today. We will advertise on Monday again, because I know a lot of college kids are starting to come home for openings. I think right now, roughly looking at the schedule, and I don't want to be held to this, but it looks like we have 1 week that's gonna be really tight. So we will staff swim teams, swim lessons, and the pool during the week. That will be our priority, and then if we have to make any adjustments, we'll do it for weekend hours. But I think hopefully we'll be okay, but kids can come back and ask for time off again, so that's the one downside of a lot of them. But if you don't allow time off, you won't have any staff, so it's a bad deal. But I will, yeah, when, you know, the person I interviewed today was a high school kid, he just got a certification, so. I offered him the position, he's gonna go home and talk to his parents, so hopefully, I mean, I would definitely like to get a few more, it will help with the, you know, to try to get things placed, but, you know, it's not the job I used to do, that for sure. But I think we'll be, for the most part, we'll try to minimize anything. In that.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else, Jen, or that's it? Tony? Oh,
So,
yes, go ahead.
yeah, I emailed you, and asked you about the, social media. Or the lack thereof, so I'm wondering if you might have, like, why is our Parks and Rec department not using social media?
So let me start with, you had asked in the email why the Parks and Rec does not have their own social media page, because we do use social media. We don't have our own social media page. I'm gonna be honest with you, it is mostly staffing. The other towns you had mentioned in your email, we did a quick comparison, and they all have multiple full-time staff, including plus office staff. We have 1 full-time staff and 2/3 office staff. Because Ally is only 2/3 Parks and Recreation. So, yeah, we are short-staffed against all the other towns you had mentioned that do have their own Facebook pages. I will tell you that I run for the town of Berlin Facebook page. That is one of the things that falls under my umbrella. And I went back through all of the 2024 Town of Berlin posts, and the Parks and Recreation Department uses it more than any other department. And 60% of over 60% of the posts on the Town of Berlin Facebook page are Parks and Recreation. Any town department can use the Town of Berlin Facebook page. Debbie uses it more than anyone else. Here, I went through the 2023 Facebook posts for the Town of Berlin. More than 50% of the posts are from the Parks and Recreation Department. I talked to the library because they have a social media page. They have a Facebook page. The person who handles the library Facebook pages is their technology person. Her only job is all of the technology in the department. So just to give you an idea of what that staffing looks like. So I don't think we're not using social media. I do feel like we use social media a lot. Every single post the town puts on the Town of Berlin Facebook page, even if I'm not in and my backup is doing it, it is shared on the Berlin Buzz and Berlin Talks. And then I know either Ally or Donna shares it in the moms group. Karen, I don't know if you sometimes share too, but I know that our posts are often shared there. So I don't think it's a matter of not using social media. I think it's a matter of Right now, we don't have the staffing to have our own page, but we are utilizing the town page just as much as some of the other departments in nearby towns.
Did you look at those other Facebook sites?
I looked at some of them. Meriden barely posts anything. Rocky Hill and Newington are definitely your two most popular, and I mean, I know Debbie knows how many staff they have, and there's a lot to be said for someone, because it's not just posting, it's responding. I run the town page, I understand. If I post on the Town of Berlin Facebook page about trash being a day late or Christmas tree pickup, and someone has a question on that, I then have to message that person or go on the Town of Berlin Facebook page and comment, please contact the Public Works Department at this. So it's not just posting and then forgetting about the post, which is why you really need staffing to be able to handle it, because you have to be able to respond to people as well. If you look at the Newington Facebook page, they're constantly responding to people's questions. And we just don't have the staff and the time to do that in our daily.
Why is it your job? How did it get to be your job responsibility to do the town Facebook site? And you can't just have it concentrating on a Parks and Rec.
Because my job oversees 4 different departments as well as some other things. I'm also the ADA coordinator for the town. My job is not just the Parks and Recreation Department. My office happens to be there, but I oversee 4 other departments in town, as well as the ADA coordinator for the town, as well as the town of Berlin. When I was hired, I also had the grounds department under me. When there was restructure, when someone left that position, my job description was restructured, and that's when I became the ADA coordinator in the Town of Berlin Facebook. Town of Berlin person, and the grounds department went under Public Works. It's all part of my job description at this time.
So the bigger question is, why can't they get people to help do the job? You have this Debbie who works a lot of hours, okay? And you have this issue. I mean, we basically have been understaffed for a while, right? So, I mean.
And the last few budget cycles, sorry, Donna, it has been stated in a directive to the staff that if you are not bringing in revenue to fund a new position, don't ask for a new position.
Sounds like corporate America.
I tried to
Donna
get
and I-
my animal control officer full time.
Don and I started on this commission. We actually had a director of Parks and Recreation and then Debbie was a supervisor. 2 full-time people plus an admin,
Yeah, full time.
right? Then, that director was terminated, they reduced the position. They hired interimly, and
Jim,
Japanese?
yeah, Captain Ice. He came in, he headed up Parks and Rec and the senior stuff. He was, senior stuff.
And social services.
And social services. So now you got down to a third of a person, when we had a full-time person before. Plus Debbie, and then that admin now shares other things that Captain Ice needed done. Not just Parks and Rec. And then Jen comes in and we've fought for things, we've asked for people. I know I have. The answer is no. Look at our
So
budget.
we're gonna be one of the only Parks and Rec department
We are one of the only ones.
that is not, we have no, like, we're not present. We don't put out our stuff out there. We talked about this.
We do put stuff out
but
there.
just
We
not-
put it out on the Town of Berlin
We had
Facebook
2
page.
fishing derbies, there's not a single picture of a fish with a kid.
So
And
We can't pitch kids unless
Why?
we get these
There are no
waivers
fish.
signed.
Why does other towns do it? Why does the Brown Line?
I don't know why other towns do it. I
Heinz
can't
Club
speak
does
for
it
other
on their Facebook
organizations.
Site, and it's in the newspaper today.
I know they have, I will tell
How
you,
is that?
we've been to Rocky Hill. They have 4 full-time people plus a couple admin, and I think there's an admin, the Parks and Rec and the senior people share as well. Okay, Rocky Hill is the same size as Berlin, same demographics as Berlin. Look at their budget compared to what we have. I'm telling you, it's night and day, it really is, and it's a sad thing. But until this town pushes, and that means the community as well, pushes for this, It's not gonna happen. Not with the council that we have.
And listen,
In fact, we're gonna be damn lucky if our budget is not cut. You know, they're gonna go out May 29th. They're gonna keep the town side supposedly the same. But you can bet they're gonna be looking for something after May 29th. And they're gonna be looking for money not spent. That's why you have that directive, spend everything by May 28th, because we have a referendum May 20th. So Tony, go, speak at the council. So I need other people going to the council and fighting for these types of things that we want. I totally agree with you. Another option. It's all in Berlin. You got an economic director. He hires or has someone, he hires someone to put it's all in Berlin. Wouldn't it be great if we could add that to our budget? Timberland has a marketing person come in and take pictures and post it on the Timberland site. That's an option. Maybe that's something that we could look at and look at sharing. You got Timberland that uses someone, just so you know, because you don't know. They put out pictures of people in golf and people enjoying things, okay? And they work with different clubs at Timberland to get pictures. Like Timberland Lady Niners has a social channel. She works with that person, gets the pictures to her. But maybe that's something, you know, we could hook on. We could find out what the cost is. I have no
Right.
idea what the cost
I
is.
actually talked to Chris Edge today because It's All in Berlin was on Instagram before.
Yeah.
They just started a Facebook page. I've already talked to Chris Edge. Hey, if I post something on the town page, can I send you a text and have your person share it on the It's All in Berlin? Because I know It's All in Berlin is gonna get a lot of followers because the Instagram page has a lot of followers. I just wanted, just because I'm a number person and I don't like that you think we're not out there because we are out there. We are in the 19th week of 2024. We have had 24 Parks and Recreation posts on the Town of Berlin Facebook page. That's more than once a week. I mean, so to say that we're not putting it out there, we are putting it out there. Maybe we're not putting pictures of kids at the events,
Right.
but because, hey, that means we have to get the waiver. And maybe once we get this waiver, we can change our registration form and add it on. I'm not saying that's not something we can do in the future, but it's just, it takes time and it takes people to do it.
other towns do it then?
I cannot speak for the other towns. I do not know.
How are they posting pictures like that?
Maybe they have waivers. I don't know. I don't work there, so I don't know what they do.
To use the example, right, 4 full-time staff. Thanks people to get stuff done. Right? You're spread across 4 different projects. I mean, there's a resource district.
It
I don't know how else to do it.
is a shame.
I mean, you could work 60, 70 hours a week. Thank you very much if you want to do.
I have phenomenal department heads that work harder and more hours than other departments in town. And that is why my job is not impossible.
And so I do think it's a discussion that's got to occur, see if we can do something to back on some of the other functions.
Again, you need money to do it.
I'm talking about the recommendation.
That's what, you're still gonna have to pay that outside
Yeah, I
person.
think starting with sharing on It's All in Berlin is gonna be a
Yeah.
huge increase
Which-
in presence.
To be fair, Jen had already talked to him before in the past and shared stuff and it was never included.
They did share the ribbon cutting finally.
So what is the budget going to get? So June 4th, we're talking to the council about.
The community senior center.
June 4th at the town council. And the architect will be presenting his. That will include our statement of needs that we passed with the senior center. It will include his estimated cost, which quite frankly, other than what he shared at the meeting, which is low from what he shared with us. I expect his number to be higher when he presents it to the town council. But I have not been involved and he's not sharing anything more than what we saw, which was just our statement of need. So he'll be sharing estimated cost, his estimate, and then he'll be sharing his other phase of the contract, which was, can we do these same things somewhere else in other town buildings that we have already? I don't know the answer to that. He did, I asked to be involved. He told me, he was told that we can't be involved.
And with the Y, if it's less than 5 months.
That's the town council wants to do that on their own. We are not to be involved in that at this point anyway. We'll have to see how things come out. I will be speaking to audience of citizens because I want to push the council. And I want them to get going if they haven't, and they could have a plan, I don't know, to present at some point. But they have had a lot on their plate, they got budgets. I wanna know, when are you gonna do, we did our part.
Yeah.
All you're gonna do is delay this, and then you're gonna do the why maybe next year, and then costs go up, even for what?
There's a chance at the meeting of the fourth that council takes in everything Brian says and says, okay, we're gonna take this, we're gonna review it, and we're gonna discuss it at a later meeting.
That's what
That's what I envision happening.
So,
So when do we have so Tony brings up the point, social, and I get it.
Yeah.
Once a week, 24 submittals we put on, like, seems like we're busy. I don't disagree, Tony, it's like I want more people to start.
Frankly, I think it's terrible what we do.
Well,
I think posting a flyer on a Facebook page for the town has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
I don't, you want,
I
promote.
want to promote it and we're not getting it.
So just say that. So when do we get the opportunity to talk to council about staff? We got some of these things.
Next fall.
Next budget season. When we
When-
get the directive that
when they
we can't add new staff without bringing in revenue, I think there's a time that, hey, we need to consider. We're not guaranteeing we're gonna add the revenue, but we need to consider adding another position to this department.
And I look forward to the meeting on June 4th. That I'd like to express to the council, this is just speaking as a
Absolutely.
citizen,
Absolutely, absolutely.
not as a commissioner, as a citizen.
Well, you can share you're a commissioner, but you're speaking. Well, I'm not representing anybody. I'm not representing the commission either when I speak.
I mean, I've been in this town, born and raised, moved out for 20 years, came back. So this town has changed and it's evolving. And it's because people have a vision of what they want the next 10 years, the next 20 years. We're talking about the high school, talk about the sports complex across the street from, at Sage Park. When I was in high school, none of that was there. Actually, that's how far back I got. But people voted for that because they had a vision of what they wanted going forward. That's the message I think we have to convey. Maybe not as a commission, but as citizens. You look at this and say, what's the impact today? Conversely, you have to ask yourself, what's the adverse impact 10 or 20 years from now if we don't do things that are progressive? Yeah.
With that, and Tony, I just want to make sure, you're talking about promoting Parks and Rec, everything that we do, get it out there, let people know, ribbon counting, all that kind of stuff, press releases, Absolutely.
For personal.
right? And so we, you can put it on the table and push for it, and, try to say how we're gonna staff the person, or outside marketing, or share it, or whatever. Share with Timberland or whatever, I don't, but that's what we'll have to look at. That being said, Karen Hemsworth and Dan Thurston came, they're not in citizens, they put a proposal together, so I'd like to have a discussion, a motion, and then.
You already voted to accept it. It's Steve. I told Karen that was going to say, because it was stated, but.
Sorry,
No grade for you.
so, video, again, the council has to vote on this, the council will have to vote. Karen, you're going to the Commission on Aging for their May meeting, and then you're
You'll be at
scheduled
that
for June
wonderful
4th.
fourth meeting.
You'll be at their June 4th, right, for the council.
Yeah.
It was a meeting before
We'll talk on strategy on.
Town council
Yeah,
on
I guess
six.
talk at audience or
I thought it was
wait.
before.
to-
I
June fourth, no, I'm doing
Yeah.
it at 6.
'Cause I'll be there,
So.
I'll be there in person that day too, so.
Okay, any further discussion? It's okay, just
So
good discussion.
when's the feasibility study supposed to be done?
The feasibility cannot start until after the Board of Finance votes next Tuesday. Once the Board of Finance votes next Tuesday, then at that time, we can enter a contract with ADA and move forward.
Thank you.
Have to ask our permission not to spend. This is, it takes 8. 4 times Board of Finance, 4 times in town. Finance,
So just to, for,
You can't transfer from one department to another department, so every, that's what.
Okay.
Hold us.
so I mean, what everybody's spoken about tonight is true. We have to do, and citizens have to do more, you know, to help. Like, you know, listen, Steve does the best with, and gets the most out of what he does. Deb does the same thing. It's not easy. I mean, when my kids were little, they could go down to a Willard in the summertime, and there was a program there for them, okay, where they either go play games or they do arts and crafts. We don't do any of that stuff anymore. And that's because we don't have the money. And so people have to speak up. And to your point, Joe, is that, you know, what do we envision this town to be in 10, right? What do we envision? I mean, that's what it has to be. And if they think they're gonna be able to get younger families coming in here, they're sadly mistaken. But anyway,
Just going back to Karen's proposal, there was the addition, I read the consent agenda, it talks about the video, I just wanna make sure proposed blocks of times to be made available for public walkthroughs of the senior and community center. I assume that's something that you'll work with staff on. Jen,
I'm sorry, we're talking
Yeah.
about principal.
so part of their request was proposed blocks of time.
Yeah,
Community-
once
you'll
it's
work-
approved
you'll
by
work it out.
council, myself, Debbie and Tina will sit with Karen.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
make one leader.
Okay, motion to adjourn, 1 seconds, all in favor? Right. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, no.
It's fine.
What?